Good morning. Good morning. Today, I want to talk about selecting an order. Like, what goes into the thought process of selecting an order? Like, what should you think about? One of the things that I think about is, well, you look at the order first of all, and you're going to see a few things. You're going to see the amount, how much they're offering to pay you. That's going to be key, because you should have a minimum. You should have kind of like a hard minimum amount that you're not going to accept orders under $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, whatever. Like, you're going to have to determine what that minimum is. I think most drivers, you definitely don't want to accept those very low ball orders, and those are, again, $2, $3, $4, $5 orders. But you're going to have to make those determinations for yourself. That's the first thing. Next thing is the miles. They'll show you the miles. It will be, the miles usually is right below the amount. So how many miles are you willing to travel for this order? Is the order, a mile away? I mean, is the delivery a mile away, or is it 10 miles away? Really consider that, because you only have a few seconds to determine whether you're going to accept this order or not. So you really have to think about it. Like, do you want to travel 5 miles away from where you're picking up the order, or 10 miles away, or 15 miles? You gotta know, your radius of where you're at. And if you want to stay in that area, if you want to move to other areas, you've just got to determine that. So that's, those are the first couple of things: is how much are they offering? Number 2 is how many miles do you have to drive? The third thing is the restaurant. Now, the more you have experience, I'm sorry, I'm going to just move because the sun, it is coming up and I'm getting some glare here. The more you do deliveries, the more you'll learn the restaurants, and you'll learn which restaurants are, usually will take a longer time. You may not want to frequent those restaurants. There are some bagel shops that are a no for me. When I see the name, I don't care how much they're offering, I'm not going to that bagel spot, because I know I will be there for, an enormous amount of time, and it'll be a waste of my time, quite frankly. So I will immediately decline the offer. I had a bad situation maybe it might have been a couple of years ago now, with a bagel spot. I went there to pick up, and they were closed. But yet they had the open sign on. And I was trying to get in the door, and then someone came to the door and said they were closed. And I said, no, actually, I'm sorry, I'm getting the story mixed up. The door was open. They had the open sign on. And so I went in and I said, I'm here to pick up an order. And they said, oh, no, we're closed. Okay, but the door's open, your open sign is on, and I got an order. So, I get it, but like, don't look at me like I'm crazy. And so me and the person kind of had a back and forth. And then I think it was someone from the back, came out front and started yelling at me, and just started just screaming at me, telling me to get out and that they were closed. and it was extremely rude. And I called, I think it was Uber Eats, and let them know that I had that just had a very bad experience with this place. And so Uber said that they were going to omit them from, like, I should never receive an order from them again. Now, that wasn't the case. I then got orders from them again, but I just declined them. I just, anyway, you may have a situation like, that was a very rare situation. I still remember the place. But every time I would go there to pick up, it would always be a long wait. The place would be packed. And this was maybe more than a year ago. It was a couple years ago, because we were still kind of in the COVID, everybody wear a mask. And I would always look around like, there's too many people in here for, like, this can't be safe, So it was more than a couple of years ago. But anyway, so situations like that, I'm never going back to that restaurant, that bagel shop or whatever. So you will have situations, or just sometimes you're just waiting there too long, and you're like, asking them for the food, and they're like, oh, another 5 minutes, or some of them might tell you up front, it's going to be 15 minutes before it's ready. And you can just, cancel that order right then. But anyway, my point is, when you see the restaurant, determine if it's worth you waiting. You may not care, so you may just wait, but you'll have the price, the amount that the offer's paying, you'll have the distance that it will take, and then you'll have the restaurant. So you'll have those three things to determine if it's worth it for you. Now, one other thing you have to look for is if it's a double order, because sometimes you're like, oh wow, this is a great order, it's paying $15, it's going 5 miles, but then you'll see a number 2, and that just means it's 2 orders. Now, if you're okay with that, if it still makes sense to you, take the order, but you'll have to determine that for yourself. The other thing is, if it's what I consider to be an upside down order. So to me, an upside down order is if the miles are higher than the payout. So in other words, if they're paying, let's just say they're paying you $5 and they want you to go 10 miles. No, we're not doing that. Or, sometimes depending on the time of day, or if it's a holiday or something, you'll get really weird orders, or I get really weird orders, and they'll be like 28 miles for $10. And I'm like, I don't care what restaurant it is at that point. I'm not driving 28 miles to only get $10. You'll have to determine that. Another thing that's important, depending on where you live, and again, you'll learn your area if you're new, you may be close to a mall. So this restaurant that you're seeing is in the mall. It's inside the mall. So you will have to go to the mall, park, and then go inside the mall, and then go to the food court to get the order. That's a lot. That's a lot. I usually don't, if I know it's in the mall, I will not take that order. Although there is a mall not far from me, I know where to park. The food court is right there as soon as you go inside. If I'm kind of like, I need some orders today, I'll go ahead and, I'll take that. But you got to know your area and know where these restaurants are taking you. I've gotten orders for, and this will be Uber Eats for the Apple Store, picking up a phone or something like that. And they'll be in, of course, inside the mall, because that's where the Apple Store is. Like, you just have to kind of know, and you'll learn this as time goes on. You'll learn where your restaurants are. But just, just keep that in mind, that it could be in a mall if you're near a mall, and it will keep pulling you towards the mall. Now, it could be near a mall, but still outside of the mall, and you can just drive up to the store. That can also be the case, but it could be inside the mall, and you may not be familiar with the mall, so you may not know where. You may park on one end of the mall and it's on the completely other side. Anyway, you only got a few seconds to determine if you're going to take the order. Like I said, be aware of upside down orders where the payout is lower than the amount of miles. Now, some drivers, say they're only going to take orders that are double the amount of I'm sorry, I just got a notification. They have to be at least double pay for the amount of miles. So that would be like $10 order for driving 5 miles, right? Is that double? Yeah, at least double. Anything less than that, they're not taking it. And if that's your hard rule,